Hi guys, welcome back to the Big Sew Along. I'm Ginny and this is, I'm recording this on Wednesday morning. I usually try to record these on Monday so that I can post them for you guys on Tuesday. But this week my camera was not cooperating. So we're a little bit late, which means that my hair's still wet and I'm not wearing lipstick. Because as soon as I'm done with this, I am off to work. I have to wear a mask all day, so lipstick doesn't make any sense. And hopefully my hair will dry before I have to go. Anyways, that's all nothing. So, after last week's video, I got a lot of really good comments from you guys. So first of all, thank you to everyone who commented. But I wanted to address a few of them with you here in the video. And we're going to start with Phyllis, who said that I think another YouTuber or someone that she follows somewhere offers her unloved makes to her viewers for the cost of shipping, which I love that idea. I think it's a really good idea. And I think I probably will do that. I hadn't really thought of that before because I just sort of assumed that other people wouldn't really want them if I didn't want them. But at the moment, all of those things that I have pulled out of my wardrobe that I think I will never ever wear, I have packed away so that I can look at them again in a few months, like after the first of the year, and see how I feel about them then. Because as you remember from last week's video, I often make something, hate it immediately, and then I come across it a couple months later and I love it. So I'm going to wait until after the first of the year, go through those things again, and then if anybody is interested in any of those unloved makes, I'll offer them to you. And so thanks, Phyllis, that's a great idea. Shelly suggested doing some projects, more like upcycling projects, using thrifted items or old items or whatever. That is something that I've always really been interested in, but I have not, in all honesty, I haven't had, I just haven't gone into that much. Certainly not since I started this channel, and probably not for the last few years, partly because I work in a fabric store and I'm constantly around new fabric, but that's not an excuse. I have plenty of thrifted things that could be remade, and I love that idea, so I am going to look into that for the future. So thanks for that suggestion, Shelly. Cheryl suggested showing some of my unloved creations here on the channel and discussing what it is I don't like about them, how those things can be avoided or how they can be fixed. And that is also a really good idea. And that's what I'm going to do right now. Because you guys might remember last week I was talking about making a pair of velvet pants, the Merchant & Mills 101 trousers. I was making for Valentine's Day. I was making for Thanksgiving dinner. I'll show you a picture of those finished right here so you can see how they came out, but there's nothing much to see. They're black velvet. They came out fine. But I was also making a red velvet river tunic. That's the Diane Ericson River Tunic that we made for so long back in the spring. And just for reference, the red velvet I have is a rayon silk velvet, and I got it from Stone Mountain & Daughter probably in September or October. The black velvet from my pants is also a rayon silk velvet, and I got that from Emma One Sock probably around the same time. So here's the picture of me in my river tunic in red velvet. I love this tunic. However, you can see in these pictures, it's pretty wide across the front. And here's the thing. I narrowed the neckline by 2 inches, and it's still really wide. So, here's my thought. I'm going to back up my camera and show you my river tunic here. So here's my river tunic, and I will say my first thought, I don't know that you guys need to see like all my junk over there though, so maybe we'll just move it like that. That's better. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, Yeah, this is my river tunic. I think it actually looks a little bit better on my mannequin than it does on me, but I think it makes me look really, really broad across the front. It's not something I'm always that worried about, but I just don't like the way it looks. And also because the neckline is too wide for me, it feels awkward when I'm wearing it. So, here's my thought. Thought number one is, why wouldn't I try this on before I bound my neckline? Okay, that's a thought I often have. Thought number two is wondering if I can just put a dart, or I guess it was a dart, a pleat down the center front like this. Now I'm pinning it on the outside, but obviously I would sew the pleat on the inside, and it would, you know, fold over on the back. What if I put a pleat in like this? And then just let it hang loose from that point down. I could do the same thing in the back. So that's an idea. The other thing I thought I could do is maybe put 2 darts just at the neckline. One on each side. Like that. Like that. I don't know if you're even going to be able to see. But then I think, I don't know if it's just because my mannequin has a hole here or if it's because of the pleat. I think it hangs a little funny. But it probably wouldn't once I had it on. I definitely like that better. My third option, and in all of these options, I would remove this bias binding, do the fix, and then put the binding back on. I don't know if you remember back in the spring when we did this, I did it in pink linen, and I did do the pleating after I put the bias binding, but because this is velvet and the bias is a little thick, I don't think I'm going to like it that way, so I will remove the bias binding and then do whatever I'm going to do to the neck. The other thing is I could just gather this up a little bit, like just across the front. Put some running stitches and gather it up across the front. Just like that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, or if you have other suggestions. Yeah, if you have other suggestions, I'd be open to those too. I was going to say, I don't know if you can see this bias binding here. If you remember when I was making my pants, I tried to put I did put a rayon bias binding around the waistline, and I wasn't really happy with the way that went because the rayon was so slippery against the velvet. So this time I used red silk charmeuse for my bias binding, and this is another reason I have to remove the bias binding, is I had half a yard of red silk charmeuse. I cut out my pockets. I didn't want them to be too bulky, so I cut my pockets out of the red charmeuse. And what was left, I interfaced the whole thing with sew shear, lightweight interfacing. So it looks like this on the back side. And then I cut it into bias strips, and I made my bias binding out of interfaced silk charmeuse. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but that was way more easy to control, and it came out really nicely. I'm really, really happy with the way that looks. The only thing is, obviously, putting that interfacing in there makes your binding more bulky. So, not ideal, I know, but it does look nice. It does still have plenty of stretch to go around your curves and stuff. There was no problem with that. It just made it thicker and a little bulkier. So anyways, okay, so that is my, let's get her out of the way. Yeah, that was my river tunic. Now, the other thing is Lynn commented. She didn't leave me messages in the comments on my YouTube channel. She sent me a message, I think, via Facebook Messenger. And just so you guys know, you can always send me a message via Facebook Messenger. I have two like pages though. One is my personal name, which is glenning64, and one is the Big Sew Along. It doesn't matter how you contact me there. I just wasn't aware forever that my messages for those two things came to separate places. So I did originally miss a few messages. So I just want to apologize for that. I just didn't realize I had to toggle back and forth between the two. Now that I know that, I won't be missing any messages. I'll just check them both. Okay, but anyways, Lynn commented that she wanted to make some of her Tina Gibbons pants patterns for winter and wanted suggestions for fabrics. So I have a couple for you. I don't know where I wrote them down. Okay, so I'll just tell you. I have made a pair of elope pants in a pinwheel corduroy, which I will show you here. These pants are super short because the elope pant has pleats that get sewn into the bottom and then a bias binding around that. Because the pinwheel cord was a little heavy and bulky, I really didn't like the way it looked when it was finished, and it wasn't a problem with the patterns, just because the fabric I had was too bulky. So at the end of the day, I ended up just cutting that bias binding off and releasing those pleats. That's why these don't look very narrow, and they look really short. I just didn't have any more of that fabric. It was a piece of vintage fabric that I got at a yard sale or something. Anyways, pinwheel corduroy works just fine, and it works. I love those pants. When I first made those, I don't know if you guys will remember, I think I showed them when I very first made them. And I didn't think I liked them at all. But you know what? They turned into like a real staple for me last winter. I wore them all the time. The other thing is, in one of Tina Gibbons' workshops, she did, I want to say she used the Phoebe pants to make a hack that she sewed up in a French terry, which I also think is a really good idea. I have not done that yet. I probably will do that. I have some French terry here. I will probably work on a pair of those sometime in the near future. But any of her pants, I think you could do that same thing with. Just use a French terry or even a lightweight, I mean, like nowadays you can get like 100% cotton, even organic cotton fleece that's pretty lightweight and would be really, really cute in some of these pants, especially if you do some interesting detail at the hem. You have to be a little bit careful because ruffles are going to get, you know, really super bulky in that kind of fabric. But aside from that, I think that's a great idea. And then the other thing, and I'll show you a picture of them here. Yes, it's another pair of red plaid pants because apparently I have an issue with red plaid pants. This is a cotton flannel. This is also an elope, and I made these probably, I don't know, sometime last year, and I've worn them a ton. I love these pants. They're super comfortable. They're definitely warmer. The thing about using cotton flannel, which is what these are, is it's a little sticky because it's flannel, so it sticks to stuff. Not really that big of an issue for me because most of my tops are big and baggy and most of them are linen, so they don't really stick too much. But just be aware of that so you know going into it what you're going to be able to wear them with and what you're not. The other thing I want to say about pants is, especially with the Tina Gibbons pants, because most of them are really wide leg pants, or not really wide, but like the plinkas are wide. I think the Zeldas are wide, or maybe they're gathered in, I can't remember now. Anyways, the ones that are wide and like open at the bottom are going to be colder because the air can shoot up inside them. So for colder climates, I think it's better to focus on some of the more narrow leg pants. My favorites are, of course, the Oprah, by far my favorite, and the elope, which is also good because it's got that narrowed bottom. Now, the other thing I have done in the past is made a pair of plinka pants that I narrowed the leg on, and those are also one of my favorite pants. They're kind of a cross between a plinka and an Oprah, and I'm wearing them today. I will show you a picture right here. I'm wearing them with my white linen Zelda, and this beautiful pink sweater that I just made. Anyways, that's a different story. Yeah, so these pants are considerably narrow in the leg, and I really want to make another pair of these. I want to make them in a flannel, probably a plaid, but probably not red. So I am going to work on that, and I will show you how I do that next week. That is about all for this week. I did want to say, a couple of you have commented over the past couple of months about a channel here on YouTube called The Slow Wardrobe. That is, I believe the woman at The Slow Wardrobe, I think her name is Linda. She's a knitter and a designer. So she knits stuff. She does design some knitwear as well. If you're a knitter, you should look into it. But she has a line of clothing that she sells out of, I believe she's in England someplace, but I don't really know where. Anyways, she has a line of clothes that she makes called Layer Cake. And they are all very, I mean, they're, if you like lagenlook, you're gonna love her clothes. I do not have any of her clothes, but I watch her channel all the time. Because as you know, I'm a knitter, and that appeals to me, but also because I really get a lot of inspiration from watching how she mixes her layer cake wardrobe. Recently, she introduced a new sort of short kimono-y jacket. I can't remember what it's called. If I can find a picture of it, I will put it up here. If I can't, I'll just link to her video below. And I'll say, I know not everybody's a knitter, so if you're not interested in the knitting part, the first part of her videos are usually knitting, but you can just fast forward through that and look at the layer cake stuff. You'll find it really inspiring. So anyways, I kind of wanted to duplicate that little jacket that she made. So I found this thing from CNT Patterns called a little something jacket, and it has, of course it's not open, I think it has three, it's just like an open front shawl collar jacket. I'm going to put a picture up here. I think it has 3 different sleeves. Let's see here. 3 different sleeves? Can you show me the sleeves? It has a longer, straighter sleeve, a shorter, I think a shorter, straighter sleeve, and then a shorter, like wide, almost kimono type sleeve, which is what looks like the one that Linda has in her line. So, yeah, I was really excited to find this pattern. I'm sure there are many patterns that you could use to create that same look, but I do like that idea for colder weather to have just like a little, I love to wear sweaters, but sometimes when I'm at work, a sweater is actually too much. If I'm running around, I get really hot. So a little jacket like that I thought would be really cool. So I'm going to work on that in the next few weeks too. And I think that's it for this week, you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. Always a pleasure to have you here with me. And until next time, happy sewing.